Patty, welcome to the podcast. So amazing to have you here.
Gina, it is my pleasure to spend a little bit of time with you.
I love spending time with you. And actually, we're going to spend some time together tomorrow, and I can't wait. I wanted you on here to enlighten my course creation students the way you enlightened me each and every month. So first, I want to talk about doubt. I want to talk about fear, Patty, because you've helped me so much. And where do you think the doubt and the fear comes from when we're business owners, when we're entrepreneurs?
You know, Gina, it's so funny. I have to tell you, there's another client that I'm working with, and this just came up 2 weeks ago. And she's so smart, just like a lot of your students, your course people are so smart. And she has been able to quickly move up and be successful. And now she's scared to death. Does this sound familiar?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And one of the things I talked to her about is the imposter syndrome. And I asked her if she knew what that was, and she really didn't. And I told her, I said, a lot of people who run multi-million-dollar businesses that I work with have this.
Yeah.
And I was saying to her, what happens is we become successful, and then all of a sudden we're like, uh-oh, I really don't. What if people find out I don't know as much as they think I know? And we start doubting ourselves. And then we get this imposter syndrome of maybe I don't belong where I am. And then we start doing this self-sabotage. And when I explained to her, very successful people in the world have this, because that's what she was going through, she went, no way. And she realized she's not alone. Just realizing you're not alone helps you to know that when you start to feel that, it's okay. It's part of a process.
So I love what you're saying here, because I feel like regardless of where you are in your business, like you said, multi-million-dollar businesses, business owners still feel this. And like, I was just talking to my accelerator group about it. And I was trying to share stories. I still go through this, right? And yes, it doesn't ever go away, does it?
No, but what's important is to understand and realize that when you start to have that imposter syndrome show up, it's part of the process of going from a mom and pop business to a large business. And then also, once you have become a multi-million-dollar business, it's not like it disappears. But what happens is it's like a circle. It's part of the process. Realize it's here, thank it for it showing up, and and move through it, and realize the other thing you and I've talked about a lot is when we approach fear, that's part of the process too. It shows up, but what it takes to be an incredible leader is the courage to walk through it. Because fear, and this is such a good one, it means false evidence appearing real. So fear is just false evidence appearing real. It's there to scare you, but have the courage to continue to move through it, not give up. Don't ever give up.
Okay, I love
and I've got,
go ahead.
Yeah, I've got, when we talk about the imposter syndrome, one thing that's very important for you to get back to is, what is your purpose? What is your purpose in life overall? What is your purpose as a leader? What is the purpose of your business? How is it changing the planet we live in? And you know how I am, Gina. It's very important to look at your purpose in life. Why did God put you on the planet?
Yeah, you're always reminding me of that. And well, a few things here. I think coming back to your purpose, and you're always reminding me of what's my purpose as a mom, as a wife, right? As a member of the community, right? As a coach. So, and I love you ground me in that. And I think a reminder that that's who, and you were always saying, like, who do you want to be at the end, right? And what is the true legacy that you're providing? So now we're going real deep here, right? We're only a few minutes in, but that's one of the reasons why I love getting coached by you. And then you also said something too, you said, thank you for showing up, right? So like when the mistakes happen or the failures happen, you always say to me, okay, well, let's be thankful that this happened. It's not all bad. And then we could process, right?
Absolutely. Some ancient words of wisdom is when when difficulties and problems show up, or things like the imposter syndrome show up, or difficulties in your business, it's very important to say thank you, because when we go through difficult times, it creates perseverance. Perseverance creates character. When you start to look at the whole process, perseverance creates character, and character creates the values that we start to live in. There's another whole circle for us to follow. So when these difficult times show up, just say thank you. And what is it I'm to learn?
Yeah, love that. I love that. And you already touched, I want to talk about the mom and pop. We talk about this all the time too. A lot of my listeners are just starting out as course creators, and they're just starting out as experts. So really instilling in them this belief that they can do it, that they are the expert. And I just posted something the other day about, you have permission now to be the expert. But like, where do we get that confidence from? Right. And how do we go from having this kind of scared mindset to really owning who we are?
A lot of that is so important, Gina. Thanks for bringing that up, because being an entrepreneur myself and starting many businesses, and like I've always said, I have some brilliant disasters also, and I've learned so much from the wild success and the brilliant disasters. But one of the things that's so important is to be grounded. And this is why I go back to, what is your purpose in life and your purpose on the planet? Each one of us, God made us so unique, and you are an expert in who you are, because nobody else can be you. And the way that when you're creating your courses and you're creating the things that you're sharing in the world, you are truly an expert in it, because it comes from the way your heart, your mind, and your soul has created it. Yeah. And when you share that, it is uniquely from you. So you truly are the expert. So when you stand firm in it, you have a lot to teach.
Okay, I love that. And I think we get caught up on, well, there's already so many other people teaching this, right? There's already so much competition, but yeah, but it's uniquely you, right? And you bring something to the table.
Yes, because everybody hears things differently. Yes. Some people will hear from one person and it will absolutely pluck the heartstrings and it'll sink in for them. And somebody else will teach the same thing in a different way and they won't hear a word. So know and stand firm that you are unique and you are an absolute expert in what you're teaching.
Yeah. And I get this question all the time, Patty, and you kind of touched upon it about, well, what if we repurpose content, right? What if something is not originally yours? And then I always like to say, well, it becomes part of you and you take a stand on it, or you bring something unique to it. Right. And you give credit. I always say, like, you like to give credit, yes. But you're always sourcing different philosophies and quotes and things like that. But then you're putting your own spin to it, right?
Absolutely. I do both, because I like to write and I create quotes that are my own. And then I also I always call it stealing from others in a good way.
Yeah.
But I love to I like things simple and I like steps. So when I hear somebody tell me 4 steps to reset my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, let's take a look at that. And I'll think, oh yeah, I've done that, but maybe not in that order. Mm-hmm. So then when you see it in a different order, it might, again, hit your mind and your heart and your soul in a different way. So then I'll say, when I'm teaching things or I'm speaking, especially when I'm on a platform speaking, I'll say, hey, I got these 4 steps on resetting your life, and I want to tell you these. And then I'll ask people sometimes, guess where I got them, or I'll just tell them where I got it from. Yeah. And they're oftentimes shocked because it'll be from some pastor in a church, They're
right,
like, no,
but
that's from a business
so different too. Right. Yeah. I got to, but it'll seem different though. You're right. Cause you shifted the order, or yes, you told it in a different way. So, and you brought your own spin to it. That's what's important. Right. Yeah.
And, it's very similar to art, because when we sit down, an artist sits down with a photograph and you paint it, it will never look like the photograph. It becomes a new piece of art. So it's the same thing as a course creator. When you take something else you've heard and then you apply it to your own life, you've tried and tested it, and then you go to teach it, it becomes new.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like a painting.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Getting back to that, that mindset and being and living as the expert, how do we think bigger as course creators? Because a lot of times my students are maybe stuck in the action items of the day to day, right? Like just trying to get that course done, trying to get my scripts done, and maybe aren't thinking bigger picture where they want to go, which you're so great at, and you're so great at resetting me. Like, what questions can you help us with? Or is there questions like, how do you help us think about the bigger picture?
I think there's just so many avenues and paths we can take on there. And since I said I like steps, how about we talk about a few steps for
Sure.
people to consider?
Yeah, that'd be great.
And questions for them to ask themselves. One of the things I like is when we are in business and we're moving forward, all of us entrepreneurs and certainly course creators wear every hat.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Oh,
You wear all
yeah.
the hats.
Absolutely.
And it's a double-edged sword. There's a lot of greatness in it, and it can also hurt you. And here's one question to ask yourself as you are really starting to grow and you want to grow your business. Keep your vision in mind. Your vision has to be something that you have written out or painted, because it has to be something that you can see. So whatever your vision is, and if you've not spent any time creating your vision, very important to spend some time to create that. Get somebody to help you with that. Create your vision so you know what it looks like, feels like, tastes like, sounds like, all of that. Have that in mind. So that's number one. Create your vision. Then this one sounds so simple, but yet it makes a big difference. Every day when you get up, you have many choices. And are they good or are they beneficial? Because you will have so many choices to do that day. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, we could do that. That's good. That's good. And we get excited over good, and beneficial sounds boring. And oftentimes it's the beneficial choice that will grow your business. So very important to look at, is it good or is it a beneficial priority? So when we're setting our priorities for the day, how many are good and how many are beneficial in growing your business? Does that make any sense, Gina? That one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because I know with you, one of the things you and I talk about a lot, you are so smart and you think so fast and you're so quick. And we talk about the difference between tactical and strategic.
Yes.
So that's another one, looking at what you're doing through the week. How many tactical tasks are you doing and how many strategic tasks are you doing to grow your business?
And then what's the balance there? Or is it just keeping in mind you need those strategic tasks, those strategic moves? Is that
Yes,
what's key here?
it is, because what happens most of the time is we do tactical. We're in the weeds.
Yes. Okay.
Or if you live on a farm, you're in the trough with the pig getting muddy. So
Instead
get
of
on the
thinking like
fence.
of what new crop you want to do next year, or oh gosh, I don't even know what strategy for a farm would be. But yes, I
Okay,
get you.
here's get this picture. You're on the farm. Now you're in with the pigs. All right. You're getting muddy with the pigs. You got to get up on the fence, sit on the fence. You got your cowboy hat on and look out over the ranch. And if you don't do that once in a while, you're not being strategic. You have to sit on the fence and look out so you can see what you need to grow next. If you're just eating with the pigs, you're just going to stay in the slop.
Yeah. I love that. And going back to the vision piece, I love that you really challenged me to think in terms of what's my vision as a mom, my vision as a wife, a vision of the different roles. So I know right now we're talking from a business and a course creation standpoint. And I definitely, if you're listening right now, I want you to work on that. And then as you sit on the fence and you think in terms of your strategy, you think in terms of like where you want to go, because one sidebar, I've been coaching soccer and we've been talking about that, Patty, and I've been talking about it on the podcast too. And I had a moment at the end of the season where I was like, I think I failed as a coach. Like I actually said this to myself and I said, no, what was your outcome? What was your vision? And have you fulfilled on that? And I said, I did do that. I did. And there was resolution there for me, but because I had a setback, I thought I had failed. Right. But what was the bigger vision? And you're going to and I know you're going to reground me on that. And that's what you're going to ask me. So I think if there's ever those days where you're having doubts as a course creator, as an expert, you revisit that vision, right? You revisit what was that bigger picture that you set out, and then you set out the strategy toward it instead of thinking like, oh, I failed on that, right? Or I made a big mistake on that.
If you don't make mistakes, you aren't growing. So one of the things that's so important is to grow in wisdom, not wickedness.
Oh.
If we make mistakes and we step on people and create a wake of destruction, we're growing in wickedness. If we make mistakes and we own our own side of the street and we learn from it, we're growing in wisdom. So who do you want to be?
Oh, I've been growing in wisdom. Oh, for sure. I'm growing in wisdom every day.
But what's interesting is some people, when they make mistakes, they instantly do the blame game. And then they're growing in wickedness because all they do is blame somebody else and they're not owning their own side of the street on what happened. And then if we can take a look at that mistake, own what it was, and grow in the wisdom, then you will live a fulfilled life.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. And getting back to creating that vision, sitting on our fences, and then making time for the strategy. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think we don't make time for it. This is another topic you're always saying to me, like, how are you going to set aside the time that's meaningful for you, that's meaningful for your business? Like, how do we do that, Patty, when we're so damn busy?
It's one of those things that's so very important, and it's similar to food. If we feed our bodies really good food, then we're going to think quick, fast, and healthy. If we go a day where we're not drinking very much water, our brain is like a sponge, and you've seen a dried up sponge sitting at your sink and it looks pretty bad. That's what happens to our brains if we don't hydrate and drink enough water, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't take the time. Same thing in our businesses. If we don't take the time to get away from the daily task, to create the strategic vision and methods and steps, then your business will always stay small. And again, if you want to have a small business, that's great. Just know what you want, create the vision. And it's taking time. Everybody says, we don't have time. You have the same 24 hours that I have, and so does everybody else. It's prioritizing strategic time. And I think what happens is people get afraid. I can't take time because they don't know what to do. Get a coach that can walk you through how to do strategy, and or get in a group that is going to spend specific amounts of time, a few hours a month, or every 2 weeks, something where you're truly working on the strategy of your business, not just in it every single day. Because if you don't take the time to do it, it's not going to happen on its own.
Yeah. I believe in coaches. Like, I invest in coaches. I invest in coaches like you. Right. And I'm in a parenting course right now. I love coaches, so Alex and I, we need a new trainer. We're working on that right now. So we're going to have a fitness coach. And you're right, because it takes you out of the day-to-day, takes you out of the task master kind of mentality. And every time we meet, I'm thinking, what am I doing with my business right now? It takes me immediately above the clouds, right? And thinking, okay, what's really happening? And I think making the time for that. And maybe when you're starting out, it's just like an hour a week, right? Could it be an hour a week? Is that enough time to start?
It doesn't matter about enough time or not enough time. What matters is you think so fast, Gina, 10 minutes could be fine for you.
I'm in the shower and I've got it.
Boom. Yeah. That's how you operate. Somebody else who is much more of a internal processor might need 2 hours a week.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, it doesn't matter how much time. What matters is that it is a specific amount of time that each person is dedicating to their own strategy and building it and creating it. That's what matters.
Okay. I love this. And then also recovery and like stepping away. So, my brain's constantly going. I took some time last night I had to do a brainstorm this morning for a new client. And last night I just read some things and I stepped away. I watched Obi-Wan.
Good.
And then after that, I just kept hitting Alex with new ideas. I was like, oh, it just came to me because I stepped away and because I wasn't trying to like force myself to do it. And then boom, boom, boom. The ideas just like hit one after the other.
That's something very important, Gina, you just touched on is creativity. And entrepreneurs, new course creators, they're so busy on getting it going and up and on that they forget about downtime. Our brains need downtime. And when we stop and do something creative that has nothing to do with the business, those ideas, like you said, it hits you when you aren't thinking of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go, oh, then I got this and I got that and I got this. And it just starts clicking. We must give our brains a chance to rejuvenate and refuel. We have to refuel from the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual side of our lives. And we tend to forget that a lot. Yeah. We do just the minimum. And the other thing that's important when we think about growing from that mom and pop business to a larger business, if that is your goal, did an oak tree grow overnight?
No, right.
No, what grows overnight? I'll tell you what grows overnight: weeds. So do you want to be a weed or do you want to be an oak tree? And we forget to have patience with the building of our businesses.
I love this because it's not an overnight thing. I talk about this all the time with course creation and it's hard because we're impatient, or I'm impatient, right?
Yes.
But I definitely want to be the oak tree. And it just like you launch a podcast. I've got course creators launching podcasts right now. All right. You're going to give it a year. You're going to give it 2 years. You're going to give it 3 years. And then you're going to reap the rewards of what you've sown, right? Grown.
Yes.
Back to the farm. We're back to the farm, Patty. So you're going to have to give me a metaphor for that. But sometimes I do get impatient. And what do you do when you get so impatient and you're frustrated because you're not seeing the results?
Yes, it's so true. Okay. I just have one more little ancient word of wisdom, and I have to read this one to you because I did not create this. An intelligent person aims at wise actions, but a fool starts in many directions. So good, right?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
And when we think about, we kind of put it all together. If you're sitting on the fence and you're looking out at the ranch and you see the oak tree, it did not happen overnight.
Right.
And when we think about our businesses and we think about what kind of actions we need to take, it's very important to grow in wisdom, take wise actions, and not run off in many directions, because that's a fool. We don't want to be a fool.
Right.
And I am oftentimes the squirrel. I'm like, oh, let's do this. Oh, shiny object. And I have to really work in my own self and have my own coach to keep me in that wise growth mode. It's not like I was born with this stuff,
Oh, I thought you came out of the womb like very calm and inspiring. In
my dreams.
Yeah, but this is what we do though. I have clients and students that do this all the time, like where they're building up their video series or they're building up their podcast and like, should I start a newsletter? Should I start this? And it's like, how's your podcast doing? Or they built a starter course and they're like, oh, I think I'm going to build X, Y, and Z courses. Well, how many times have you sold your starter course? Mm-hmm. Like we are working on that. We have working on getting the oak tree for your starter course. And then we can plant the seeds for another one. I don't know. Because maybe metaphors, but
no, you're right on, Gina. You're right on, because a fool goes in so many directions at once, and there's only one course creator. It's not like you have a full staff right away unless you
Nope.
hit the money tree.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to do things. And if we're creating and starting this, and this, you can't give any of it your attention that it needs to grow fully. And then it's just going to turn into a bunch of weeds, which are going to die anyway. Yeah. So there's a lot to it, but again, it's a step back. It's always a step back and look and see what you're doing. And is it the direction you want to go? And does it meet your purpose in life?
Going back to that. Yep.
Yeah, we have to go back to that. And the people that you're dealing with, how did they feel when they were in your presence? That's always important. Because as an expert, when you're dealing with people, you're teaching people, you're helping people, you're showing people new things. And what's going to matter to them, not that they learned that 2 + 2 was 4, what's going to matter to them in the end is how do they feel in your presence?
Love that. Yeah.
Were they encouraged and were they inspired with you as a leader?
It's great. Okay, Patty, you have given us so much to think about. Thank you so much for being on. And where can listeners learn more about you and get more inspiration?
My website is victorycoaching.com. And Gina, you're going to laugh. I am old fashioned in many ways. And I like to just chat with people on the phone.
No, I think that's great. Yeah.
And see if we're a good fit, because I'm so well connected with many, many coaches. And if I'm not a good fit with somebody, what's important to me is that we get them to somebody that they are a good fit so that they can grow. That's what's important.
Love that. Okay. So go to victorycoaching.com. We'll have that in the show notes if you want to see more about Patty. And thank you so much. I know you're busy. I really appreciate you coming by.
Oh, Gina, it is always so much fun to work with you. Are you kidding? Thank you for the opportunity to be with you.